We're here with head women's basketball coach Lynn Kennedy heading into the final week of the regular season. Feels like just yesterday we were starting to talk about the season at the beginning, and here we are at the end. Talk a little about that journey of this season going into this final week that we've seen from this team.
Well, there's been some ups and downs as you would have with any young team, but I've liked our progression, especially through the conference season. I think that we're on the right track as far as playing our best basketball at the Big Sky tournament. We've got to continue that this week as well. But I've liked, you go back to the non-conference season, and we had a tough preseason schedule, playing some Pac-12 schools and then a Big 12, and playing some teams at home, but also being on the road. And those teams have done really well this season as well. So, coming out of the non-conference schedule and being 500 with a rebuilding team, a young team, and then entering the conference season starting 0-2, we kind of changed the momentum, especially at that Sac State game, getting the win on the road, winning 4 in a row, and we've seen that progression now, even last weekend, splitting on a tough road trip at Southern Utah and NAU. So we got to continue to get better even this week, continue to play aggressive. We got to continue to work on our rebounding, our rotations, and then really our execution on offense. And if we continue to do that, I like where we are heading into the Big Sky tournament.
The Vikings split play on the road last weekend, picking up another 1-point win at Northern Arizona. We've beaten Northern Arizona twice by a total of 2 points. This time it went to overtime. Talk about that team effort that you guys put together in being able to force overtime and then win it in overtime.
Well, I thought, last weekend, both the teams, Southern Utah and NAU, played extremely well for being at home, being, second to last weekend of the season. I thought that they were playing their best basketball up until this point. Against NAU, it was kind of a grind out game. I thought they were hitting a lot of shots. We weren't closing out well on shooters, but it was their senior night. They had a lot of emotion that kind of carried them through that first 3 quarters. We kind of took control of that game at the end of the third quarter, start of the fourth quarter. You could just feel the momentum shifting a little bit. They made a nice run at the end, closed it out, sent it into overtime. But I liked our defensive effort, at the end of regulation. And then overtime, we had to get stops. We did that at home as well. Usually it's on the other end. We had a good look at a basket, and then they came down, had a good look, but we got a rebound to secure it in regulation. And then in overtime, the play didn't run right. We had a turnover, but at the same time, we didn't lose our poise. And sometimes with young teams, you do, and you kind of get in a scramble. But we knew exactly what to do at the right time, get back on D, and just it's a one-stop mentality. And even though they had a good look at the basket, we were able to secure the rebound and come away with a 1-point win. So those types of games, you don't want those games, but they're actually really good for this team, and especially going to the Big Sky tournament. And so we just kind of use that momentum, use that game experience that we got last weekend and kind of translate that into this week and into the Big Sky tournament.
Sophomore forward Courtney West is in her first year on the Park Blocks after sitting out last year after coming from Southern Oregon with you. She's done something this year that nobody else in program history has done, and that's lead the league in blocks and set the Portland State record in blocks, currently sitting at 72. Talk about her presence in the middle and really what she's been able to do both defensively and offensively for this team.
Well, I like her improvement, especially from that first year at SOU. Just seeing her develop, not only on the offensive end, but defensively, she's become a better player. She anticipates. I think that's one of the things when you get into the game, she anticipates where the drive's going to be, where the shot's going to come from. She's gotten a lot tougher. We got to continue to work on those things as well, but you can just see her development as a player. I think that blocking those shots in her year that she's had as far as breaking that record just shows her commitment to being better on the defensive end. It also says a lot about our team defense. A lot of times we funnel things to her, and so she's there, but a 6'4" long presence in the middle, that's tough to get around. And I think a lot of teams we played have had a tough time driving against us because she's had that ability to block shots. But teams have also shot well against us too from the outside. So, it's a credit to our team defense her ability to get better, to using her strengths, being long in the middle. But I think she's had a tremendous season, and that just shows her commitment to the team.
The Vikings wrap up regular season play this week at home. A little bit different schedule this week. First game is on Wednesday at noon for second annual Kids Field Trip Day against Northern Colorado. And then the Vikings wrap up the regular season with senior night on Friday at 7 p.m. here at the Peter W. Stott Center against North Dakota. Coach, we opened the season with North Dakota and Northern Colorado, and now we're ending the season with them. Top two teams in the league right now. Talk about what you've seen from them at the beginning of the year to now, and kind of what challenges that pose as we close out the season.
Well, I think in our minds as a coaching staff, they're probably the top two teams in the league, when we faced them the first time. And again, they're probably the top 1, 2, or 3 teams in the conference now. I think North Dakota's gone to another level of their play. They've just been solid, especially at home. And we had a close game at their place, but we kind of match up well. I mean, I think we're similar. We have size. Both of our teams have size. We both have athletic guards. So hopefully it's another game where we match up well with them and able to contain on their offensive side, and then get stops on the defensive end. Northern Colorado, we don't have good matchups with them. They're really good shooters. They're athletic getting to the basket. They play extremely hard offensively and defense. But I think it's a great challenge for us now to kind of go through the conference season and to see how far we've come as a team, our improvements, not only on the defensive end, but the offensive execution end too. So we're excited to see, the challenges that present themselves this week in our preparation for the Big Sky tournament.
The Vikings are closing out the regular season at home against Northern Colorado and North Dakota, but it will also be the final 2 home games for the Vikings in the current Peter W. Stott gym, as the Vikings will transition into the Viking Pavilion. For more information on this week's games and for the Viking Pavilion, visit govikes.com.